Snap the damn ball, RJ.
Woo! Yes, sir! That's right. That's right. This is the Bedlam preview show. And we about to get into it. We about to get live. We about to tear into how OU has been tearing into Oklahoma State since jump. Trying to tell y'all, Pokes fans, see this right here? This is the belt. It's our belt. It's our belt. World champs right here, baby. World champs in the house. Today, we finna get into it. Trying to tell y'all, number 5 team in the country. What's up? What's good? Anyway, this is RJ So Live show. This is the Bedlam preview. Number 5 Oklahoma against number 11 Oklahoma State. All right, let me tell you about the rundown. I'm gonna take these glasses off right quick so I can see my eyes. I love my Ric Flair shades. Any excuse to wear my Ric Flair shades. Any excuse to bring out the belt, Oklahoma State. To remind y'all, this our belt. This our belt, homie. This our belt. Put the belt down. Put it in its case right quick. So, what we getting into today in the rundown? We're getting into college football playoff. We're going to look at the rankings. We're going to look at how OU stacked up. How the committee actually did right by us for the first time. You know, I know, in forever, you know. Feels like all anybody want to do is try to ride on OU. Sorry, we can take it. We have blue blood. It's cool. We're going to get into recruiting, including one lineman who's ready to announce his commitment later this month, and maybe one Texas flip commit. Yeah, OU about to flip a commit. I like it. We're going to get into how OU's defense stacks against Mike Stoops and his 3-man front. If you haven't seen my video that basically deconstructs and eviscerates Mike Stoops' 3-man front, check that out. You know, Mike Stoops' defensive scheme is trash. People were looking forward to it. A lot of folks liked it. I got a lot of, great feedback on it. Appreciate it. We're going to do more stuff. We're also going to get into, are the Cowboys cursed in big Bedlam games? Yes. But that's spoiler. And we're also going to get into Baker Mayfield, why he's awesome, and what he and Barry Switzer have in common. The thing that ties them together from 19 to 2017. We're going to get into all of that. If this is your first time here, don't forget to hit this like button on this video and subscribe to my channel because it's OU football, college football centric. I upload every single day. We do live shows for the previews, and we do live shows immediately following each OU football game. It's live off in there. There are lots of folks that are in the chat. There are lots of folks that are OU fans. It's a great community. I'm really happy to you guys. So let's get right into it. Let's get into the college football playoff, and let's take a look at the rankings, all right? And we're going to go around by, one by one until I get bored because, well, I'm not going to just be here talking about how Washington State is number 25 and whether or not they deserve to be number 25. But Georgia, my goodness, Georgia. Everybody thought Kirby Smart was going to take a while getting things started over there at Georgia. But look at Georgia got his big boy britches on. You know what I'm saying? Kirby Smart got it going. Number 1 ranked team in the country. Wow. First time since 1982. Last time, Georgia was ranked number 1 in the country. Herschel Walker still had his shirt on. So good for you, Herschel. You get to take your shirt off and be Brody again, Good for you. I wish you weren't taking your shirt off because you are old man and you probably shouldn't be doing that. But good for Georgia. Georgia is number 1, Alabama number 2. I kind of like this, but I don't like it because the way it's stacking up, Alabama and Georgia are going to meet in the SEC championship again, and I can easily see the committee trying to put both of those teams in the college football playoff 1 loss. I could easily see it. So as much as I like that, I don't like it. I really don't like it. I think it could hurt us on the back end. Notre Dame, a lot of people think they should re-rank 3rd in the country. I don't have a problem with it. They beat the bricks off of USC. They lost to Georgia by 1 point. Josh Adams is a Heisman candidate. He's good. That run game is nearly unstoppable right now. And I mean, they're a good football team. I don't have a problem. but it's November 1st, so I'm gonna let it slide because my Clemson at number 4, my Sooners at number 5, Ohio State number 6. See, head-to-head matters. I like that. I love the head-to-head. I didn't think that they were going to do right by us because they haven't in the past, but head-to-head matters. And I'm glad that head-to-head still matters. That beating the bricks off Ohio State in Columbus, planting the flag, matters. It doesn't matter that Ohio State beat Penn State because we beat Ohio State. So, good on us. Bad on you. I hope Ohio State gets beat by Michigan so we don't have to hear from Ohio State ever again. Penn State at number 7. TCU is number 8. I could do that. That works for me. Wisconsin at number 9. Wisconsin's undefeated. Miami at number 10. Undefeated. And then Oklahoma State, our in-state rival, at number 11, just ahead of Washington. Fine. If you want to make Oklahoma State number 11 in this ranking, I guess. I mean, who's their marquee win though? Pittsburgh? Man, Iowa State would drop 40 on Pittsburgh. Iowa State would win by 3 touchdowns. Who else they beat? Nobody. They didn't beat anybody. They haven't beat anybody. Still, I do like that there are 3 Big 12 teams in the top 11, and 4 Big 12 teams in the top 15. That's not bad for a 10-team league. That's getting it done. I like that. That makes me feel good, And also, it's nice to see that the committee doesn't care what the AP thinks, because the AP has a recency bias. It's what have you done for me lately? It's so easy for the AP to forget that we stomped a mud hole in and walked dry Ohio State in September, and then come November, late October, Ohio State's ranked ahead of OU? Come on, man. Miss me with that, AP voters. Y'all supposed to be better than that. Y'all supposed to be paying attention to college football. Sometimes I don't think that's the case, man. And also this bias with AP voters. People got, I'm an AP voter in their Twitter bio. So, big whoop. And, at least it's harder to get an AP vote ranking or to become an AP voter than it is to become a Heisman voter. So I guess that's a thing. But who cares? I don't care. I know you don't care because the committee is all that matters now because we got this thing called a playoff. Anyway, the game notes. Let's get into game notes, right? Things to pay attention to in this rendition of the earliest Bedlam game since 2004 when they played in October. I don't know what the circumstances for that, but that sounds weird. That sounds weird to play Bedlam in October. It doesn't feel right to play it in the first week of November, but you want a title game or you don't. I'll take the title game, and we can go ahead and mop up Oklahoma State early. That's fine. OU is 14-1 when both teams are ranked, and 12-0 when Oklahoma is ranked ahead of Oklahoma State. So goose eggs for Oklahoma State when we're ranked ahead of them and they're ranked. I mean, it's really hard to continue to gloat, though I'm gonna, about beating the brakes off of Oklahoma State when you're 86-18-7. That's not a rivalry. OU Texas is a rivalry. Ohio State Michigan is a rivalry. Oregon State is a rivalry. West Virginia Pittsburgh is a rivalry. This is not a rivalry. This is an annual beatdown. This is an annual, as Bomani Jones would say, beat them down. Like, this is not a rivalry. OU is 10-2 against Mike Gundy. 10-2. And it took having one of the best Oklahoma State teams in its school history to beat them in 2011. And even then, the best they could do was Fiesta Bowl. So, I got nothing. This is not a rivalry. It's a game we got to play, and it's a game I look forward to playing because I like stomping down little brother. It's good for him. Reminds him who's boss. Matter of fact, to that end, I was wearing my Ric Flair in a video that I filmed a couple days ago that's going to go live tomorrow night. Black Ric Flair in the house. Black Ric Flair. Why Black Ric Flair? Because you can't be a black superhero without having black in the name. Black Panther, Black Goliath, Black Vulcan. It just works. Plus, I like being Ric Flair. Woo! It's fun. I like being a nature boy. It's fun. But back to beating down Oklahoma State. I thought this was an interesting note to bring to the table. OU's 86 wins against Oklahoma State is tied for second most in FBS history. That means only Nebraska has Nebraska has 2 records in this particular area. Nebraska has 86 wins against Iowa State and 91 wins against Kansas. Poor Kansas. It will never be a football school. Even when it was a football school for that brief Mangino era, it was never really a football school. I mean, it's like Mangino, Tyrese, and then just dive bomb. Oops. Sorry, I hope that didn't hurt y'all's ears. But so with a win against Oklahoma State, moved to 87 wins, become second all time. So we beat Oklahoma State more than any other team has beat another team except Nebraska beating down Kansas. And, since Nebraska and Kansas don't really play anymore, we're probably gonna take over that record next 6-7 years, So that's fun. Keep that in mind. It's not just that we're beating down Oklahoma State, it's that we're beating them down better than almost anybody else. And I'd like to also add that Oklahoma State fans do not expect to win this game. Not only do they not expect to win Bedlam, they don't expect to win games that matter in Bedlam. Like, I read that on ESPN earlier this morning. As a matter of fact, Kyle Porter, who's a friend, runs the Pistols Flyering blog, had the money quote, just that Oklahoma State fans do not have confidence in the football team when Bedlam matters. And that speaks volumes to me. If your own fan base already feels like they lost the game on Wednesday, what do the players think, man? What's going on in these freshmen's heads who've never been a part of this game? J.D. King, for instance, who had 36 carries for 142 against West Virginia. What's going on in his head? What's going on in Marcel Aikman's head, James Washington's head, Mason Rudolph's head? I don't know, but I like to think that it's defeated thoughts. I like to think that they know that they're going to get this beat down, that they about to be on the tracks when the train coming through. You know what I'm saying? Let me see who's in the chat. Who's in here? Say hi if you're in here. For real. I'm not playing. Say hi if you're in here. Oh, that's what I'm talking about. Let me see. Because I try to call out everybody who participates and everybody who's in the chat. So let me roll through right quick and see what we got. Who's in here? We got John Rickards was first. I like that. John and I had a nice little conversation. Ian Sparkman, what's up? Kiev Hill, what's up? Let's go, Savage. I like it. Craig's in here. What's up, Craig Walker? Who else is in here? JP Sheffield's in here. What's good? Gas Blitz, what's good? Collins McDaniel, what's good? Thanks for being here, y'all. I appreciate that. I know it's Wednesday. I know it's 6 p.m. on Wednesday, but I appreciate it. It's fun. I'm glad y'all are here. Also, drop me questions in the chat. Love to take on the questions in the chat. I try to come through. Let me see. Yes, miss Oklahoma-Nebraska game. Yeah, but it's coming back. I think 2022 is Oklahoma-Nebraska. They're going to have the home and home. It's coming back. It's on the calendar. I'm excited about that. Let me see. Colin McDaniel says, Boomer from South Georgia. What's good? Man, I remember I had time of my life in Atlanta. I'm already. Ooh, Chocolate City. Woo, I like it. Let me see what else we got in here. We're back to Oklahoma State. So one of the things, X's and O's wise that I wanted to talk about, bring up, because after my deconstruction of Mike Stoops' 3-man front and why we should, as OU, should always be running a 4-man front. I've been asking for him to coach a 4-3 because I believe Mike Stoops knows how to coach a 4-3. But the best defense I think that OU should run is the 4-2-5, like the one that got at TCU, which has got 4-3 principles, right? But mostly puts 4 men, down in the line of scrimmage, and it lets the defensive ends do what defensive ends do, which is pass rush and rush defense. You're not asking an Obo or Ronquo to play out in space when really you just want them going after quarterback. I think it should say something that Obo leads the league in sacks at 7 and is 11th nationally, but we're asking him to stand up. I don't like that. But West Virginia runs a 3-3-5, which means they run a 3-man front. And Mike Yurcich is no fool. So what did he do? He ran the ball. Justice Hill went down, and I expected them to just start throwing the ball all around the yard because I didn't know who they had at running back. And then this freshman, J.D. King, comes in, and they hand him the ball 36 times, and he goes for 142, which to me says, Mike Yurcich says, if you're going to put 3 men down on the line of scrimmage, we'll take that. That's 5 on 3 time. You know, not to mention if you want to line up a tight end or you want to run with a fullback, which they do, and they did, you know, and spread them out with that very wide 4-wide set or trip set, you know, I think that's all. I think that speaks to all of it, you know. So if Mike Stoops didn't watch my video, I hope he watched film and saw how Oklahoma State just destroyed that 3-man front. And if you come out with a 3-3-5 like you get against Texas Tech, they're just going to run the football just like Texas Tech. And you can't ask the linebackers to do the work of 2 men. You know, this defense that he wants to run with this modified 3-4, modified 3-4 over, it just doesn't work. It's got too much spacing, and you're asking linebackers to do too much all at once because it's not the talent, it's the scheme. Also, you know, I think it's worth bringing up that Oklahoma State's defense ain't terrible. You know, we're used to them being bad, but they're 25th nationally in rush defense, and that's of particular interest to me because OU runs the football, and we run it well. You know, so I think that's something else to keep an eye on. So play action pass, I think, is going to be a big part of this game, and thankfully for us, we got one of the most accurate passers in college football history. So I'm not that worried about it, but I think it's worth bringing to the table that, you know, Oklahoma State ain't no punks on defense. You know, they got tools. They got tools everywhere. They just ain't very good. I also think that, you know, another thing to keep an eye on here is Baker Mayfield. You know, particularly this chip on Baker Mayfield's shoulder that in an article on Bleacher Report, which I'll link in the comments in the post and after the show is over, about how Baker Mayfield is not playing about this chip on his shoulder like it's real. Like he walks around with it everywhere, and he's played with it since he wasn't recruited highly out of high school. You know, I think it was his dad in the article was like, Mac Brown has 5 guys on Texas's roster that can't play. And apparently to James, you know, his dad, all of them flamed out anyway. And Baker took that as a slight coming out of Lake Travis. You know, he's a good quarterback. He's small and he grew, but, you know, he walked on to Texas Tech. Then he had to walk on at OU. You know, then he had to beat out Trevor Knight. I mean, I like that he has a chip. And Baker said something I think which was telling was, look, man, if I was at another program on another team, I would hate me too. Which speaks volumes because I love Baker, but I love Savage because he's on my football team and he's my quarterback and he's probably going to be my Heisman Trophy winner. You know, I dig that. And I dig that he's a hype man. You know, I dig that he's got moxie every time on the field and that the defense wants to play for the quarterback. You know, that I think that's telling. You got a defense out there that wants to get Baker Mayfield the football. They have faith in Baker Mayfield to go make plays. That's how badly they want to be on the field. So I think that, you know, that's worth pointing out. And I also think it's worth pointing out that he's 12-0 as OU starter on true road games, which means, Pokes fans, he hasn't lost on the road, and this game's in Stillwater. So pack it in. It's over. It's a wrap. Is Oklahoma State cursed? That's what this is really getting to. Is Oklahoma? Yes, Oklahoma State is cursed. Very much cursed. You know, and you're inviting curses when you're taking championships, national championships in particular, that don't belong to you. That 1945 national championship, give it back. I'm serious. Give it back. You didn't earn that. That's not yours. Okay? We don't take polls for national championships. We win them. We have 7. We know how that is. Matter of fact, here's another stat for you. Bud, Barry, and Bob coached OU for 51 seasons collectively. Won 7 national championships, the 3 of them. They lost as a group just 5 times to Oklahoma State. So OU's football coaches, the last 3 we had, not 3 we had, the last 3 great football coaches that we had, they lost to Oklahoma State fewer times than they won national championships. Like, it's just 7 national championships, 5 losses to Oklahoma State. Yes, it's not. You know what? Maybe it's not even that they're cursed. Maybe it's just that Aggie football is just not that good. Anybody ever give that some thought? Like maybe it's because you scheduled these cupcakes, these Savannah States, these South Alabamas at the beginning of the season, and you give your fan base this very artificial confidence that somehow you can win football games that you can't win. So when you play a TCU and you get beat by 2 touchdowns, people want to act brand new. No. If you schedule trash teams, that doesn't make you a good team. It means you beat a trash team. OU doesn't schedule trash teams. OU schedules Tennessee. OU schedules Ohio State. OU schedules UCLA. OU schedules Nebraska. OU schedules LSU. OU schedules Notre Dame. I mean, they want to tell me that they scheduled Florida State a few years ago. And what happened? Got beat down, didn't you? Got destroyed, didn't you? I don't know if you got destroyed, but you got beat down. Got beat by Jameis Winston. You know, back when he wasn't even wearing glasses and he was throwing passes. I'd be so mad if I was in that defensive backfield and I found out that Jameis Winston was basically blind, completing passes on me. That would be a personal slight, but not Oklahoma State. Apparently, they don't go that hard. Also, this idea of great Oklahoma State football players coming out. I mean, people want to talk about Tyreek Hill. Like, okay, who else? Justin Gilbert was supposed to be great. I ain't seen him lately. Anybody seen Justin Blackmon? Me neither. Dez Bryant's hurt most of the time. I mean, I love the Cowboys, but he's hurt most of the time. Like, tell me. Anyway, moving on. Like I mentioned, the profile of Sixto Savage by Matt Hayes that I'm going to link. But one of the other things that I thought was interesting in there is Lincoln Riley's office is bigger than my apartment. His office is 1,800 square feet. There are people with houses that ain't that big, dog. Like, I'm not saying he don't deserve it, and I'm not saying that I don't want him to have it. I'm just saying that's a big office. That's an imposing office. That's an enormous office. Like, if you walked in there and you're a recruit, what would you think? You know, what would you think if you saw how big this man's office is? I think that plays to the advantage. You know, that plays to the advantage of Lincoln Riley, and good on him. But 1,800 square feet is a big office. And I wonder how many of the 17 official visitors that OU had at Texas Tech walked into that office, you know, and whether or not that really was a game changer, which, you know, is my segue into recruiting. So OU had 17 official visitors at Texas Tech, and on that Sunday following the game, you know, Lincoln did his googly eye thing, his emoji thing, you know, which we all love and adore because it means commitments. And we like commitments. We love commitments. And so far, you know, there was I think 3 googly eyes that we saw. But the one dude that made it public was Ronnie Perkins, who plays weak side defensive end, which is huge because that's the same position, at least right now, that Obo Oronkwọ plays. You know, that jack linebacker spot. So I'm glad to see that we got, you know, we got a class where you got you got Ronnie Perkins on one side, you got Ron Tatum on the other, who's strong side defensive end. At least that's what they're projected. So I'm excited about that. I'm very excited about that. Still don't have any defensive tackles though. And to run the kind of 4-man front that we need to run, we need defensive tackles because we just can't get these 3 techniques, you know, that we used to have. Devontae Lampkin's great, and I love him, but we need more help if we want to run 3-man front, and we shouldn't run a 3-man front. It should be a 4-man front. That's just the way that it should be. But along with Ronnie Perkins and Ron Tatum, you could have, you know, Ruben Unite, excuse me, could be, according to 24/7, his decision to announce is November 19th, and Oklahoma is sitting pretty if you believe, you know, the reporting, and I usually do, you know. Those guys work for a living. They work very hard to report this news, so I don't have any reason to believe that we're not sitting pretty. So that'd be nice to get, you know, that late November surprise. Also, according to the same 24/7 article, I'm going to link down into the description below following the live stream. The Texas linebacker, I'm going to butcher this kid's name, so I apologize in advance. Oyedele Adeoye. I'm going to learn it, I promise. Anyway, he's from St. Louis. He's a Texas commit, and he's actually been in contact with the OU staff, even since committing to Texas in June. And he could get flipped. He could get flipped. Along with A&M commit Deshaun White, who's another linebacker, could get flipped. He was at the Texas Tech game, and he apparently was very impressed. So that would be 2 Army All-Americans who could be a part of this class. And so that, I think, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. Number 5 ranking, sit pretty with recruits. Beat the bricks off of Texas Tech at the biggest recruiting weekend that we're going to have all year. With a month of college football left to go, Baker Mayfield looks like he's sitting pretty for the Heisman. I mean, Lincoln Riley's first season is looking mad nice. You know, it's looking kind of beautiful if it continues the way that it's going right now. So I'm digging it. Let me see what else we got in here. Let me take a look back through. Kara Miner's in here. What's good? Kara asked, RG, do you feel that Mason is hurt, or was it at least last week? Yeah, maybe a little bit, but I'm not hurt enough to where he's not gonna play. You know, he's gonna play. You know, I think that kid would have to be dead or dying not to play, and I respect that. I respect his competitiveness. Billy Mick, hey Billy. Billy was the first guy to support me on Patreon, and I really appreciate that. Shouldn't love be getting more love? Yeah, okay. Womp womp womp. Then Barkley. Obviously, Baker should be at the top. I don't think that Bryce Love should be getting more love than Saquon Barkley. Precisely because Penn State is a better football team. And not only are they a better football team, but I know that Bryce Love didn't play against Oregon State and Stanford managed to win, but Stanford managed to win. Okay? Without Saquon Barkley being Saquon Barkley, Penn State got rolled up. They had that game won and still got rolled up because Ohio State put the brakes on Saquon Barkley. Said the numbers for Bryce Love are stupid. Like, he's got 1,387 yards rushing in 8 games. You know, he was averaging something like 200 yards rushing a game, like 10 yards a carry. So that's not overlooked. But hey, man, I won't give you the Heisman for sitting on your butt. Like, I get that you're hurt, but you're still sitting down. And if I rushed for as many yards from my couch as you did against Oregon State, no, I'm not a Heisman. I'm not up for the Heisman. You know, I'm not up for the Heisman. I'm not giving it to somebody who didn't play football. Not that week. Nah, so he's got some work to do. He's definitely got some work to do. Let me see. Who else we got in here? We picked up another run back as well. Yeah, it is TJ Pledger. But I don't know that he's committed. I think that he's thinking about it. So I'd have to check. Let me see. Colin McDaniel says Hill played at the same school I did in high school. That speed is rare. Yeah, I mean, Justice Hill is a player. But if he's hurt, I want him to get better. Because I don't want hearing back talk from Oklahoma State fans. I don't want them to be like, we weren't at full strength. You know, just take this butt whooping. That's what I want. I want y'all to take this whooping. And I don't want any excuses. I don't want any excuses about what's going on with him. Other thing that I wanted to get into was, check it out. So we all know about Baker's arrest over the summer, you know, for public intoxication, resisting arrest, in Fayetteville. But the funniest part that I saw out of all of this came today in that same Bleacher Report article where Barry Switzer comes in a quote. It says, look, I was arrested and thrown in the same jail in 1959. I tell Baker to keep his head up, but I also want to tell him if they've improved the accommodations at the jail since I was last there, because it was an expletive hole. And I thought that I fell out of my chair laughing when I read that. Barry Switzer, the king, off the top rope. Man, Barry Switzer must have stories for everything, man. You know, the bootleggers boy's been everywhere, done everything. There's nothing, man, that he hasn't seen before. And I so utterly dig that. That's one of my favorite things about Barry Switzer is the man loves to tell a story, and he's good at telling stories. If you look at him in relation to every other OU football coach, you know that he's the outlier, you know, because Bob was not flamboyant. Lincoln is not flamboyant. God bless him, Gary Gibbs was not flamboyant. Bud Wilkinson surely was not flamboyant. The guy that might have been that flamboyant was Tatum, you know, who came over from Iowa pre-flight, but he only lasted a year. And those are also that's before Bud Wilkinson era. So That's ridiculous. That's crazy. But that also speaks to the dominance of Nick Saban and the Crimson Tide. I want to be that dominant. I don't think it's asking too much. I don't. Why? Because Alabama's doing it. If Alabama wasn't doing it, I wouldn't be riding Mike Stoops. I wouldn't be riding Lincoln Riley. I wouldn't be yelling about how we haven't won a national championship in 17 years. I mean, goodness me, dude. So yeah, show Mike Stoops the door. And if you show Mike Stoops the door, keep an eye on Mike Reed, secondary coach out of Clemson. I think that's a sexy pickup. See if you can't woo Venables back. I don't think that's out of the question. I think, new head coach, new OU, bygones be bygones. Brent Venables back to defense. And I think we'd be in good shape. Also, I'm not averse to throwing money at Jeremy Pruitt at Alabama. Throw him money. Back the truck up. Take up collections. Rob the cookie. I don't care what you got to do. If it means taking Todd Orlando from down there in Texas anymore. All right, I guess that's the point. I don't care who is the defensive coordinator as long as they shut down. Okay? It could be your dog for all I care at this point. Because I'm tired of being on edge and biting my teeth whenever Baylor's salty because they had the game won and then lost it because Baker's Baker. Oklahoma State fans are salty because they've never beaten Baker. Cliff Kingsbury's salty because the kid had the audacity to say, "Oh, you're not gonna let me." Fine. Then you're not gonna give me a scholarship. Fine, I'll leave. And then Texas Tech wants everybody to remember that they signed off finally on OU allowing Baker to go to OU. But I mean, it was so much animosity, and it drug out for so long. Lawyers got involved that any goodwill that Texas Tech hoped to garner from that act was already gone. So I don't blame the kid for being chippy. I mean, I'm chippy. I got a tattoo on my shoulder that says chip. You know, we all have people in our lives that we felt held us back, and we use those instances in our lives to drive us forward. That's not just human nature in football, but human nature in football. Crankstar, some reason can't watch. Okay, let me see if I can't figure out what's going on here. So, viewers may be experiencing minor issues. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to get it figured out. But if, okay, reload and it's all good. Okay, so if you're having problems hearing the live stream, apparently if you reload the stream, it'll help you out. Let me see. Who else is in here? Tommy Yang is in here. If we're going to win against OSU, Sermon needs to play. I hear that. There's a lot of folks that have said that missed Trey Sermon against Texas Tech. I don't know if he was in the doghouse. I don't know if it was just that Rodney Anderson was having a great day carrying the rock. But I do know that there were games where we didn't see much of Rodney Anderson. And there were whole games where we didn't see Abdul Adams because he was hurt. So I'm not concerned about the running backs. I love Trey Sermon. Don't get me wrong. Like, I was one of the first people to say that he's one of my new favorite OU football players. But I love Rodney Anderson, you know, and I love Abdul Adams. I mean, people forget Abdul Adams is still averaging 10 yards. I don't think you can do worse than that. So as long as whoever is the tailback is averaging 7 yards a clip, 6 yards a clip, 10 yards a clip, a buck about who's getting subbed in, who's not getting subbed in, I don't think you should either. I think until there's a problem at running back, let's not invent one. You know, we got problems elsewhere, particularly the defense. You know, who else is in here? Luis! What's up, Luis? Appreciate that. Appreciate that. You know, and I guess that's the other part is, what are we going to do? What are we going to do about... I don't know that it's a problem, per se, that we don't see enough Kenneth Mann or Bledsoe. But what are we going to do about that? Because sometimes I feel like DJ Ward and Obo don't get any time off. You know, I don't feel like... I feel like the defensive tackles are underused and the defensive ends are overused. But that's substitution that I would like to see changed. I'd also like to see Trey Brown get some run at corner because Jordan Thomas is getting torched. Sometimes it's a scheme, sometimes it's Jordan Thomas. And when you're having to run 3 safeties because you don't feel confident about either your defensive line or your linebackers, that's, you know, somebody needs to be playing corner. Because, you know, Will Johnson sometimes gets torched at safety, and I wonder how he would look out there at corner. You know? And we need to have a scheme that allows Stephen Parker to make more plays, because I believe that sometimes as the strong safety, he's just underused because he can come up and he can stop the run. There was one play that was allowed Obo time to make a sack because Stephen had the presence of mind to bail out and go cover something I didn't think was his responsibility. I think he just read the play, read the quarterback's eyes, made Shimonic just hesitate that second longer, and then it was over. But anyway, that's just let me see. Is Gallimore playing for OSU? Heard he was in street clothes for TT. He was in street clothes, Dylan. He didn't play. He didn't play against Texas Tech. I don't know if he's going to play. Kind of like Romar. I don't know if he's going to play against Oklahoma State. But it'd be nice because he's the kind of 3 technique that works in Mike Stoops' 3-man front scheme. And since Mike's stubborn, I'd like Neville to be available just for that reason alone. You know, more bodies in the middle, the better. You know, Devontae Lampkin is being a man up front, but how much longer can he really do that? I don't know. Hey, Stream Health. So anybody who's having problems, I hope that gets solved for you. Let me see. If you got questions, again, toss them in here. That's what we're here for. You know. What else did I want to get into? So the last note that I really wanted to drive home and to see what you guys thought about for the most part was, if Iowa State and Oklahoma end up in the Big 12 championship, which is not a question, to be quite fair, would the college football playoff